Hey, Rube.
Hey, Dave.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
I am too. I had a good weekend. How about you?
Good weekend.
Good weekend, some good weather. It's we're
Beautiful
in
week.
the we're in
Other
the
than Saturday, if it seems like every Saturday it pours, and then it's beautiful from Sunday to Friday.
Yeah, I was really lucky. I was at a wedding on Friday and it was perfect weather. It was an outdoor wedding, so yeah, if it was Saturday, it would have been pretty awful.
And track meets are Saturday, so it's tough for us track junkies.
That's true. You know what? I As much as I make fun, that does stink, just like being out in the rain for an entire day.
Yeah, yeah. Back in the Burlington County Times days, I covered plenty of long, rainy, cold, wet, windy. You're running down Farnsworth Street in Bordentown after trying to get your results that flew away. Many of those days, but it's all good.
This is Eagle Eye Podcast. He's Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. We do have some stuff to talk about. We are in the dog days a little bit now, but there are some things we can talk about. We have some ideas. We want to talk some. We've talked so much like negative, not negative, but you look at the holes of a roster. I think that's so natural to be like, well, this is where they need to improve, and we've done that a ton. But we want to try to figure out where the Eagles are better going into 2023, and which players we think are going to be better coming into this next year. So we'll do that. We want to look at the quarterbacks the Eagles will face this coming season. It's a little tougher than we saw last year, certainly. And then there were a few rule changes that got implemented, so we'll kick those around at the end of the pod. But let's start with the positions we think the Eagles can be better in 2023. Now, we know where they're probably weaker. We've talked about safety. We've talked about linebacker being two spots where we look at them and go, they might not even be done adding at those positions. But when you think about the other side of that, where they might be better, what kind of sticks out to you the most?
Yeah, it's a great question, and they will be better at some spots. It's hard to tell exactly where. There's just a lot of unknowns. I do think, and this is not a knock on Miles Sanders because he had a really good year if you look at the final numbers, but I like the fact that they're going to have different options at running back. And what we saw late in the season last year was Miles, for whatever reason, just wasn't effective. And Kenny Gainwell did a nice job at times filling in, but now you're going to have, you have Gainwell, you have Rashad Penny, you have DeAndre Swift, you have Boston Scott still here. And it seems to me that they might be more slump-proof at running back this year because even though the other guys got their touches, it was really Miles. The offense was built around Miles being the bell cow back, and when he was not as productive as he had been over the last couple months, they really didn't have anywhere to turn. And Gainwell had the one big game against the Giants in the playoffs, but I think top to bottom they could be more effective running the ball this year, especially late in the season where Miles, for whatever reason, just wasn't the same player.
Yeah, that's. I didn't think about running back because Miles was so good. He had a Pro Bowl year, but you're kind of right in some respects there that they'll have different options. Now, some of those options are questionable.
Sure. Yeah.
Especially with when you throw health into the mix with Penny and to a lesser extent Swift. But you're right. Like, I think you feel good that if one guy isn't healthy, the other guys can kind of carry it, where last year it was mostly on Miles.
Yeah, and I still don't really understand fully what happened to him late in the season. He averaged 5.2 yards a carry the first, I think it was 10 games and 3.8 the rest of the way. Offensive line was healthy. He was healthy, other than he got a little banged up in the Super Bowl. But and look, he had a nice body of work when he left here. I certainly wouldn't give him that contract, but I'm really curious. That's one area I'm just really curious to see how it evolves as the season goes on.
Yeah, and it is tough to try to say they're going to be better at this position because they were so good pretty much everywhere last year, and the spots that you thought maybe they're a little weak, you can argue they're weaker,
like linebacker.
Yeah. So it's I don't think it's. So the one I came up with was cornerback, because they added Keely Ringo to a group that didn't really lose anybody. They added Greedy Williams, who at least has some experience in the league. So I think cornerback, they had the potential to be better from a depth perspective. Now, last year they had really good cornerback play from their starters. But you can also include Avonte Maddox there. Like, hopefully he stays. I know hope isn't a strategy. We know that. But, like, he missed so much time with injury. You hope that at least regresses to the mean or increases to the mean. You know what I mean there. Like, if he can stay a little bit healthy, you get all three of those guys on the field. And then we'll see what Keely Ringo is. I know he was a fourth round pick, so you temper your expectations, but talented enough I think of him a little bit more than a fourth round pick.
No, I would agree with that. And similarly, I think you could say third wide receiver, and it could be Quez. They could get better because he's back to where he was 2 years ago. But I think Zacchaeus is going to be certainly, you would hope he'd be more consistent than Quez was this year. And if he's the third receiver, I think that would be an upgrade over what Quez was last year. And
sure,
maybe a push to what Quez was 2 years ago. I like the fact that he's improved every year of his career. I don't really know what to expect from Quez if he's here next year. Certainly a talented kid, but I think that's a chance to upgrade. You feel great about the 1 and 2 guys, just kind of like cornerback, but the depth was a little lacking last year, and Zacchaeus could help with that.
He could. You could still argue that's a position where the depth is lacking still.
Sure.
We've talked a lot about potentially trading Quez. Man, it's pretty bare behind him and behind Zacchaeus. You have Britton Covey, who's really a return man. And then we talked about the Charleston Rambos and Greg Wards and all those guys. They're all just fighting for a spot. And all these guys could make a roster, but like I don't know if they're really going to be difference makers. But you're right. If either Quez is better or if Zacchaeus plays, all of a sudden that third spot's better. So I get that.
And the fourth spot's better.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it depends on what you're looking for out of that fourth spot.
Production, maybe not as good in blocking, but I'm okay with that.
Well, that's something we haven't really talked about though, because like Zach Pascal last year, there was a reason. Like they just didn't target him, but he was doing like. I wonder if they, in their minds, if they wanted someone, because they don't have that guy right now, right? Really, like they don't have a guy, dirty work guy. Yeah. So are you like, I don't know if they're looking for production out of that fourth guy.
Well, that's not Zacchaeus' strength, certainly not Quez's strength. So, I mean, it's different. I think it'll look different. But if you give up a little in terms of physicality and blocking and get another 30 catches, maybe it's worth it. And Britton Covey can block his butt off, by the way. Get him out there in the slot. But, yeah, it's going to be different. It's going to look different. I think they expected a little more production from Pascal, along with the blocking and all the other stuff he does. We'll see. It's gonna definitely look differently. And again, I think there'll be more added to the mix as we go along. We'll see. But from what they have now, and Quez is he's the big question mark. He could be not here or he could be WR3. We just don't know.
Yeah. Would you call it a question mark?
Oh my God. Wow. See, if I did that, you would like block me but that was good.
Thank you. Yeah. The only other position that I thought of, and it seems so stupid to say it, but overall, could the defensive line be better?
Potentially.
I mean, they're probably not going to get 70 sacks again.
Right.
But that's obviously not the only metric to judge them by. They
were not great against the run last year.
They lose Javon Hargrave, but they add a really good player in Jalen Carter at the top of the draft. They get Nolan Smith, another first rounder who's going to play on the edge. We'll see if Derek Barnett's here, but he's coming back from injury. And Jordan Davis, should probably be better in year two. So like
You
I
better
don't think
be.
it's yeah, I don't know if they'll be it's hard to say they'll be better than a 70 sack season, but I think they did what they needed to do to replenish. And it's amazing that losing Javon Hargrave, you go, yeah, you lost him. He's a good player, but this unit might be just as good.
Yeah, and that's going to depend really on the Georgia guys. But run defense was a problem last year. Uh, they were one of the worst in the league. So I think when you talk, and it's not look, that's not just the D line. Um, I mean, T.J. Edwards was really solid against the run. They'll miss him, but D line is more than just sacks, and people were able to run on them. The Eagles' best run defense was when they would get up 17 points and teams couldn't run on them. But gosh, I think they allowed, and I can't remember the number. Was it 4.8 per carry, something like that? That's high. It's one of the highest they've ever allowed. So that's something that obviously the two Georgia guys need to help. That's got to get better.
Those were my three positions: receiver, cornerback, and potentially defensive line. Anything else from you?
No, I think when you look at safety, I mean, obviously they're going to miss Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Um, I don't think Marcus Epps was really very good last year. He was okay. Um, so I'm curious to see how that position shakes out. Um, they're probably not going to be better as a position group just because you're not going to get interceptions in 6 straight games from these guys, but or whatever it was, five straight games. But when you're looking at too deep, and again, it's another position where there's you don't really know about the depth. You don't know about the rookie. He could be a guy that doesn't play or a guy who's starting. So potentially better, but probably not. But you'd hope for maybe better overall play where you're not going to have a Pro Bowl caliber guy, but maybe you'll be a little more solid. I mean,
Okay.
I thought Epps was going to be more of a playmaker. I don't think he was very good, and he was bad in coverage, and he missed more tackles than I expected. He didn't play the way based on how he'd played as a part-time player. He didn't play how I expected as a full-time player.
Yeah. I wonder if that could happen again
with Reed,
who we've seen in a part-time role, kind of.
Yeah. I think the difference for me is that, Reed probably played better in his cameo than Epps did. And Epps, it wasn't really a cameo. It was kind of like fewer snaps. I mean, they were rotating guys, but it's a fair question. We'll see. I feel like he's going to be okay. But then I felt like Epps was too. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Reed started games. He played because of injury, whereas Epps kind of forced his way on the field because the guys in front of him weren't playing that well.
Right.
And he was.
That's true. Yeah. So we'll see.
All right. Let's go to the other side of this now, because not the other side, but another layer to this. Players. Returning players who we think could be better in 23 than they were in 22. I have some names in front of me. I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah.
Who do you want to start with?
Well, the biggest one, the first one that comes to mind is Jordan Davis. He's
Top
the
of my
obvious
list too.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he has to, and I think he will. I like where he was before the injury. He wasn't crushing it, but he was playing well. I think he was gaining confidence. He was getting in shape. He was understanding his role. He wasn't great by any means, but he was pretty good and getting better. And then the injury kind of wrecked that whole progression. I would have liked to seen where he would have been by the end of the year if he stayed healthy. We just, but that's what this year's going to be all about. I mean, when you look at this roster, I mean, he's got to be really, really good this year. It's a big year for him. So he's the first one that came to mind.
Yeah, me too. It's funny. This whole defense now hinges on Georgia guys. It's
Crazy.
really, it is pretty wild. Him, Jalen Carter, and Nakobe Dean are going to really dictate a lot of the success of this defense. I think he's the big one. He's got to He has to play better. He has to stay healthy. And you're right. Last year, man, I felt like he was just starting to get it in that Pittsburgh game, and then he suffers the injury. And even when he came back, he wasn't the same. By the end of the year, he was playing better, and he was out snapping Linval by the end. Uh, but it took a while to get to that point. And I think the Eagles were like, well, we brought in Linval, who's playing well, and that didn't help Jordan either because it kept him off the field. No
Right.
Linval now.
Right. And look, you're trying to win a championship. You don't have time to like, oh, let's get the rookie some snaps here. I mean, you got to play the best guy, the best 11. And that rotation was working. So they stuck with it, which is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And he
All
was
right,
still playing, but yeah.
I'll give you another name.
Yeah.
Kenny Gainwell. Because we've talked so much about like, yeah, he played so well. He played well in the playoffs. During the regular season, you can argue that he had a disappointing year.
Had a couple good moments, a couple really good games, but there weren't a lot of them. And when you add up the numbers, because the games that he played well, he had more touches, more carries. So the final numbers look pretty good. But I mean, what did he average? 4.2, something like that. So that's average. But I agree. I think you like to see the consistency there. I don't know how good he is. I'm eager to find out. There's definitely talent there. I really, when he's catching the ball securely, that really, really makes him a more dangerous player because that's a big part of his game. I think Jalen likes throwing to him. So, and yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, and I'm curious about like what the opportunity will look like because with Miles here, like Miles was clearly the one, he was clearly the two. Now you have this room where I don't know if there really are numbers on these guys right now. Like it'd be tough to come up with a real depth chart. So I think he's going to have his opportunity. And if he looks good in camp, he'll get touches. I mean, he's going to get a lot if he looks good. Now, the same can be said if Rashad Penny looks like Rashad Penny. Well, guess what? That's going to hurt his opportunity. And if DeAndre Swift looks like the best version of DeAndre Swift, then that's going to hurt his opportunity too. But there's no Miles Sanders in front of him. There's no clear-cut RB1. So I think Gainwell, if he can continue the success he had in the playoffs, I think he could have a nice year.
How do you, if all three of those guys stay healthy, how do you, who's going to have the most carries, most touches at the end of the year?
Now I'll say Rashad Penny, knowing full well that he's probably not going to stay healthy for an entire season. Yeah, I mean that's why it's an easy answer because I don't have to. You can't call me out on it when it doesn't happen because it's not going to happen.
Here's my theory. I think if he stays healthy, I think they're going to do everything they can to keep him healthy. And that might mean 8 touches a game, where I think Swift is a guy, and like you alluded to earlier, he's had some injuries too. Most running backs have. And
not like Penny, though.
Right. Not like Penny. Very few running backs that stay healthy. Shady did. I mean, he was really good for 17, 18, 20 touches a game for his whole career. But I think it's Swift. I think Swift, because I think they're going to try to keep Penny healthy, keep him bubble wrap, get him his work, try to get something out of him. But I don't see him being like a 15-touch guy where I think Swift can handle that. So I would say if they all stay healthy, DeAndre Swift will have the most touches.
Yeah, and you made a really quick edit to your question at the end that I think changes it. Well, not changes it, but you went with carries and then touches. Whereas like touches, yeah, I think obviously Swift has the ability to catch the ball. Not that I'm saying Penny doesn't have it, but Swift's proven himself in that area. He's been really good at it. So we'll see how much they throw to the backs. That's the one thing with this offense that's a little tricky because they haven't run a ton of screens. And a lot of the times when you're throwing the ball to the backs, it's a check down. And with this team, Jalen just run it. So I wonder, like, if now that you have that safety valve with Swift, if they'll use it more or if Jalen will be like, no, I run the ball in this situation.
Yeah, it's a great question because I think it would behoove the whole organization to be a little more careful with Jalen and his carries. But he's really good at it. And he generally uses good judgment as far as not taking hits, getting out of bounds, getting down. if you can get 7 yards on a Jalen run or 7 yards on a dump off to DeAndre Swift, I would take the dump off to DeAndre Swift every time. But that's not going to happen. We know that.
Yeah, if you're pushing the controller, if you have the PlayStation controller, you can dump it off. But Jalen doesn't listen to that.
No, he doesn't. But a little more discretion would probably be smart.
Yeah. Do you have any more?
Well, as far as guys who played a lot last year, not really.
I have one more I can give you.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Jordan Mailata.
That's a good one.
Because I thought by the end of the year he was playing well. During the middle of the season, he did not play well, and we know he had the injury, which I think really did affect him. But he was out there and he didn't look good, and he's still a really fascinating guy to me because if this is all, if that's the level he plays at for his entire career, you're like, okay. I mean, he's a solid left tackle in the NFL, being a 7th-round pick who never played football before. But we got so used to seeing Jordan in the first few years just take these big steps forward and learn so much and get so much better that I wonder if there's how much more growth are we going to see from him? Because he's still really young. He's crazy athletic. And I think the ceiling is still high, but what point does he get to? I think he took a little bit of a step back in 22, and I think injuries played a role.
Yeah.
But can he get to that Pro Bowl level? I think there's a chance for it still.
Yeah, we asked the same question to Dallas Goedert, who I wouldn't say he has to get better. It was just an injury, or he would have been a Pro Bowler. But he's at the point in his career, and both of them same age. Dallas is going into his 6th year.
Yeah,
6th year. Those are two guys that you'd like to see take that next step and be Pro Bowlers. And look, I know Pro Bowl doesn't mean a whole lot, doesn't mean what it used to, but it's still, it's one of the ways we measure guys. So I know Dallas would like to notch that one. I mean, still think he's one of the 3 or 4 best tight ends in the league, but hasn't been to a Pro Bowl. And I think that's got to be the goal for Jordan too.
Yeah. I would separate them a little bit because I think Goddard, it doesn't get injured.
No, I agree. No, there's no question. They're different cases. It just came to mind that they're both, they're both guys that came out the same year. They're both guys that have been really good, but just haven't gotten that. Yeah, but for different reasons. You're right. I mean, Dallas, he was on his way to almost 1,100 yards last year. So it was a shame. That injury was really unfortunate because he was going to have a historic season. He was going to have an Ertzian season.
Yeah, whereas I thought Mailata was on the borderline of that in 21.
Yeah.
It was was he snubbed? Was he not? I don't know if it was a real snub. I think he deserved some consideration that year. Last year, I don't think anyone was upset or thought he deserved it. But I still think there's all pro potential. There's got to be more consistency.
Yeah. And the other guy, Quez, we've talked so much about him.
That's why I just left him off.
I'm gonna, but he certainly fits into that category.
Yeah, he does. Anyone else on your list that?
As far as guys who played a lot, not really, because a lot of them left. A lot of them aren't here. Like Kaiser White, I don't think played super. He had moments, and he was better late in the year, but he's not here anymore. So.
Yeah.
Nakobe's a guy who certainly a lot of eyes will be on him, but he never got a chance last year. So
it's not it's incomplete last year.
Yeah.
As a letter grade.
Yeah. So, Covey's a guy as a punt returner who, if he plays the way he did the second half of the year, you got a decent punt returner. He was top 5 the second half of the year. And it was it was 11 yards every return. There was no 30s. There was no 2s. It was just, consistent. And that's what you want. He's probably never have a touchdown in his life. But
you never say never.
If he can get you 12, 13 yards a pop, help field position, that's all you need.
Yeah.
You get Jalen to the 36. You're going to score.
Yeah. Catch all the sports action and more at Rivers Casino, Philadelphia. Whether it's the money line or the pass line, there's something for everyone in a great sports book. Rivers Casino, Philadelphia. Philly loves a winner. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. We spent so much time last year talking about quarterback play and the quarterbacks the Eagles faced. A little tougher this year.
Yeah, there's nobody named Davis. One thing I noticed is that when you face a quarterback named Davis, you generally win. They don't have any Davises.
No Davises. They will face, well, the list is 14 quarterbacks long. We'll see which of these guys are healthy. There are always injuries. But we rank these players independently.
We did.
So I'm curious to see how our lists are different. You want to just start at the bottom and really build the suspense here, work our way to the top?
It might be too much excitement for our listeners and viewers, but sure, let's start at the bottom. And there were some tricky ones here, but we'll get to that. Yeah.
Okay, let's start with 14. We might share this one. I have Sam Howell.
I do too, and maybe by the end of the year we won't be saying that, but look, you have to start there.
Yeah, I think so. Man, I'm still surprised that Washington didn't make a move on a quarterback.
Yeah, Wentz is out there.
I mean, in the draft.
Yeah. I'm not sure what they're doing down there, but
they're about to get better by default.
They have a new owner, and that's huge for them. I mean, they had no chance with Snyder. They just were not going to be good. Now they're not going to be good, but at least they have a chance.
Well, maybe eventually they'll be good.
Yeah, maybe. They got to find a quarterback. I mean, who's their last good quarterback? I mean, Cousins was okay.
Cousins was fine.
But, yeah, can't get excited about Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I get that. He comes on the list in a little bit. We'll see where we have him.
Yeah.
Who do you have at 13?
I have Baker Mayfield.
Me too.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if our are identical?
I would doubt that. Yeah, I mean, Baker, he'll surprise you every once in a while, but I think we know what he is.
Great. I mean, his TV commercials are really, really good.
Yeah, I like the one where he lived in the stadium. That was fun.
I love that.
Yeah, can't run it anymore.
No. Different stadium, I guess. You have to reshoot the whole thing.
It would be a lot every year. You got to reshoot that commercial.
So yeah, he's 13.
We don't need to get into him too much. Who do you have at 12?
I have Mac Jones at 12.
Oh my gosh, I do too.
Really?
Oh, this is getting now. This is a suspense. We're gonna have the same lists.
Well, I know we have the same one. I'm guessing.
Yeah, probably.
So there's only 10 more that we need to. Well, let's try turning this around. Who's your number 11?
And this one hurt me because I really like the player, but I don't know if he can throw anymore. Matt Stafford.
Okay, I have him a little higher, not a whole lot. I put Kyler Murray there.
Okay.
It's just something about him. He's got a ton of talent. I'm tracking these here to see what we have. So you have Stafford at 11. I have okay. Yeah, I'm just and he's coming off an injury. I wonder about. He's so talented. I mean, look, the talent is there, the skills there. I just seems like something's missing when I see him. I mean, just even the play where what did he slide on fourth down, short of the sticks, and just that court awareness. Just you like Jalen would never do that.
I do think Kyler scares you a little bit because if he has a great game, he can beat you.
Yeah. And if he senses that,
maybe not with that team, that team stinks, but.
And that's part of it too. Like what's around him. I think, so I kind of considered that as well.
Okay. We'll go to number 10. Who do you have?
And this is mainly injury related. I put Tua there.
Oh, wow. I have him significantly higher.
I figured you did, but I mean, he's like one concussion away from being out of the league.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's look, I like the way he played when he was healthy last year. He's really accurate. but I just don't know how long he's going to be in the league. So I didn't really know what to do with him, but yeah, I put him there at 10.
I can keep track of this. I have Brock Purdy at 10.
Really?
Yeah. Haven't seen enough.
Interesting. I have him considerably higher.
Yeah, it's just such a small sample size
Yeah.
that like he got hot, but yeah, didn't see it. It didn't even see it for a full season. So
No, I know.
yeah,
But when he played, I mean,
yeah, I agree there. Um, didn't see enough. That was my point.
okay.
How about 9?
Um, I have Stafford at 9.
Okay, I have Daniel Jones here.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have him at 1?
I have him at 8. So we're kind of along the same lines there. And
Okay.
he's a guy who I think he's always going to be good enough to win some games and never good enough to win really tough games and big games. I just think he's just a guy. Got some ability. We know he can run. Throws a lot of interceptions. Doesn't throw a lot of touchdowns. Those are 2 big things for a quarterback. He's not a kid anymore. So
You got paid,
he sure did.
which is going to make it tough for them. You're going to pay your quarterback. You better be really good.
Yeah, you better be sure about it. And I'm not sure they are, but we'll see.
Yeah. I have our buddy
Okay.
Kirk Cousins at 8.
You have Kirk Cousins at 8.
Yeah.
Okay. I have him a little higher, but not a whole lot.
Yeah, I have him in your Jones spot. And then 7, I have Kyler Murray.
Really?
Yeah. He's super talented. I
Yeah,
mean,
he sure is.
he's a very talented player. Now there's a lot of questions about commitment, and now he's obviously got the injury, but he can beat you. Like he really can. He gets hot. He can beat you.
Yeah, it's that if he gets hot thing. It's like when he wants to be great. I don't sense that it's always there. And I hate to question the guys. I don't know what you want to call it, his heart or commitment or, I always felt like he's going to end up playing baseball. Like in another couple of years, he's just going to go play baseball. I don't know. I don't know if when I watch him, it's just frustrating. It's like, I feel like we're just not seeing all that's possible with him.
That's probably fair. Yeah. Who's your 7?
My 7 is Brock Purdy.
Okay, so I had him at 10. You had him at 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man,
So
having him that much higher than Kyler.
I know.
Tough.
I mean, it's projection.
Yeah.
I really liked what I saw. I really wanted to kind of dismiss him as just he had some good games and nobody really knew what to expect, but he's really good. I mean, I don't know when he'll be healthy. Who knows, but it's a shame he got hurt because I think the Eagles would have won that game convincingly, but at least it would have shut up all the God.
I wouldn't have to hear whining for months.
Just never going to stop.
Changing rules because of it.
I know.
We'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah. But yeah, so I have him a little higher than you do. I have Kyler significantly lower than you do, and Tua significantly lower.
How about we haven't gotten him 2 on my list.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, who do you have at 6?
I have Kirk Cousins at 6. You have him at 8.
Yeah, I have Geno Smith here at 6.
Okay, that's fair. I have him at 5.
So Tua is my 5.
Really
Like the player. I get the injury stuff, but watching him play last year, I thought it was really good. And I was not like a Tua believer, but he showed me something last year.
Yeah. I mean,
getting Tyreek Hill helps.
What's that? Yeah. Well, he's got a couple. Yeah. I mean, the only reason I didn't have him higher was the concussions, the concerns about his future. Really good player. I'll give you that.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're in the top 4, and I kind of think like our bottom 3, we might be matching on our top 4 here.
Well, we each have the same 4 left.
Yeah, I know, but we might match.
We might.
Yeah.
How do you want to do this? You want to start at 4?
Yeah, who do you have at 4?
I've Dak
No,
at
we'll flip. We've gone this way the whole time. And then we'll start counting down. I have Dak at 4 as well.
all right. Um,
We're going to be
it
the
was.
same here.
I mean, I almost had him higher just because we're talking about versus the Eagles, and he's better against the Eagles than he is against the rest of the league. Got the highest passer rating in Lincoln Financial Field history,
It's crazy.
which is crazy. They just can't beat him. They beat him once. The last 8 starts he's had against them. So they got to find a way to get past them.
How much? So let me ask you this, because that's a weird stat to me, because the Eagles have had like Dak's teams have been different. The Eagles have had different players. They've had different. That's 3 different. The different coordinators and I guess 2 different. Do you think it's like how much of it is like coincidence? How much of it is like a mental thing with Dak? Because it can't just be like he kills this scheme, because they've had different schemes
and different players. I mean, there's only a handful of guys like BG, Fletch. I mean, there's only a few guys that have been on the field for all those games, which makes it. Yeah, I think probably a lot of it is just luck. And like part of it is he had that 1 5-touchdown game against the backups. That kind of pads the stats a lot, but he does play well against them. And for whatever reason, he just gets up against the Eagles. He's 17 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in his last 8 games against them. Doesn't make mistakes. Gets the ball in the end zone. I don't know if there's any one reason. I mean, he's good against the rest of the league. He's effective quarterback. He's top 10 quarterback, but
there was a moment there last year he was just throwing a ton of picks.
Threw a lot of interceptions last year. I'd say he's
like not his thing.
I think it's still a top 10 quarterback in the lower end of that. I could be convinced otherwise, but against this team, they just can't beat him, and they got to figure out a way to. I mean, they were lucky Cooper Rush started the one game last year because they just can't beat him. I think they will this year.
Okay. No reason not to, but the Cowboys still have a really good team.
Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't talked. I feel like the Cowboys, everyone's talking about the Eagles and 49ers. I think the Cowboys are right there.
I agree. Yeah. I think they might be better than Niners this year. After I picked Brock Purdy as the second best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't think they have as good a roster, but if you really like the quarterback that much more, I think that's not crazy.
Yeah, we'll see. But they do play each other, so that'll be.
I think the 49ers have a much better roster.
Yeah, certainly on defense they do. Yeah. All right, so what do you do with these top 3? Who do you have number 3?
A-Rod.
So, me too.
Yeah, we're going to be – unless you really shock me at the top of this list.
Josh Allen, number 1. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, number 3. He's still really good. It'll be interesting to see what Aaron Rodgers as a Jet looks like. And, I mean, he is an older player. I think they have a decent group around him. I think they're well coached. He's got a decent O-line. So, yeah, I think he'll have every chance to, I think he's going to look at this as a chance to prove that he can succeed somewhere else. And, it'll be certainly a tougher game than it has been. They've never lost to the Jets. So, you're going to have to beat a Hall of Famer to keep that going.
Yeah, he could be good there, or the whole thing could blow up.
Yeah. I think he's going to be good. I mean,
he's motivated.
Yeah. I'm not sure we saw the best of Aaron Rodgers last year. Now, that could mean he's on the downswing in a big way, but kind of think he's going to be pretty good this year.
Yeah.
Change of scenery. He obviously didn't want to be in Green Bay, so he got his wish.
Number 2, Josh Allen.
I got Patrick Mahomes number 2.
No, you don't.
No, I don't. Josh Allen 2. Yeah. He's really good. And it's going to be a really interesting matchup of 2 quarterbacks that started out at the bottom. I mean, both of them were inaccurate, and he's just a runner. He's a running back. can't throw, and they kind of had parallel careers to become where they are now. And yeah, that'll be fun. They
And
did
then, of
play.
course, yeah,
They did face Josh Allen once before he was really Josh Allen. That'll be.
yeah,
And then that game comes. I mean, you look at this; these two are back to back, 1 and 2, on a Monday on the road in Arrowhead, and then at home 6 days later against the Bills. That's yeah, you're facing the two best quarterbacks they'll face all year back to back.
this was ended up being really funny. Our bottom three and our top four were the same, and then all these guys, and it really kind of speaks to the league because you have all these guys in the middle ground. They're like, yeah, and in whatever order, they're all kind of making win here or there, but none of
Yeah.
them are special.
So we were 1 apart on Geno and Daniel Jones. We were 2 apart on Kirk Cousins, Matt Stafford. We were 3 apart on Purdy, 4 apart on Murray, and 5 apart on Tua.
Yeah.
But for the most part, top and the bottom we're identical. Where would you put Jalen Hurts if you were putting him in this list?
2 or 3.
Well, no, I mean which one? You can't say 2. Well, somewhere between 2 and 7.
Well, I gave you 2 answers.
Tua answers.
I'd probably go 2.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. But I mean, it's splitting hairs a little bit.
Yeah.
He has the postseason success now.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's great though. I don't want to. It's not like he's blowing him out of the water. It's close between him and Allen.
Yeah. That'll be a fun game.
Yeah, it should be. And then Mahomes is an alien, so you almost don't even. Whatever. The QB rule change.
Yeah.
Have you taken a look at this? It's technically the 49ers did not propose it. The Lions did, but this comes after months of them whining about it. And the initial proposal from the Lions was for a practice squad quarterback to be eligible to be the emergency QB. But the rule actually says it has to be a player on the 53. So all this rule change did to me was it ensures that teams are going to carry 3 quarterbacks on their rosters now.
That's about it. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really think it was necessary. I think that should be a strategic decision that each team makes, not a decision the league makes for them.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like I hear because everyone's worried about like the quality of play, but it's like you have your choice. There was nothing stopping any team from ever having 3 quarterbacks active.
Right.
Now, I think a valid argument is like, why not just have all 53 active? What are we doing? Why are we limiting?
I'd be totally fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what would you do before the game? Like, how would you spend your time?
That's true. I do like when inactives come out.
You guys should see Dave and Jimmy. I guess it's the 2 of you, like 3 hours before inactives come out, are just sitting there with these lists and crossing names out and like, well, Sue has got to be inactive, right? And Jimmy, like, no. And they put a lot of time and energy into it.
It's fun trying to guess. Well, it's become harder for me in the last year or two because I now have TV hits on the field before the games.
Oh, you poor TV star. Oh.
No, well, I'm saying the inactives generally come out while I'm on the field. So I have to pre-write it.
Yeah.
Guessing.
Right.
And then change it on my phone before I file it. So it really helps me if I get the guess right.
I guess so. Yeah. One time I was covering a Phillies game and we were down in the dugout talking to Charlie Manuel and I'm recording Charlie with my phone, and Charlie talks for like 25 minutes. He's going on and on. And I'm not looking at my phone. And he finally wraps up. He's telling stories about like back when he was an A-ball, we didn't have no on-deck circles, whatever it was. And he finishes, and I look at my phone, and 22 minutes ago, I had a text from Drew Rosenhaus telling me that Shady had signed a new contract.
Oh.
And by the time, I was able to like tweet it, like everyone else knew, but I don't know why that reminded me of it. I want to say one other thing, unless you have anything.
I just wanted to mention the Thursday night football rule,
Oh yeah,
which is it's very annoying. I understand it's all about money, but
yeah,
basically, in late in the season, there can be flex games from Sunday to Thursday, with 28 days notice.
right. BCD
So
Travel's going to love this. Dave's going to be like, "Yeah, I need to change my flight from Saturday to Wednesday."
yeah, it's going to be a nightmare for us. But I'm not worried about us. Like,
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
worried.
fans are
It's too much.
planning trips.
Yeah,
Like, you're saying screw you to everyone who goes to the game in person.
yeah, it's awful. And I don't think. I mean, I'm just not a big fan. I love watching Thursday night football. I mean, I love settling in on a Thursday night. You know, you get done with all your work and you just kind of settle in on the couch, have a Thursday night game. But I think it's too much football, too short a time, and just Sunday to Thursday is it's not enough recovery time, and I don't think the quality of the game. Well, I think the quality of the game suffers on Thursday nights,
I
and
think it's true, but I Thursday night football is not going anywhere. It's
no,
just a shame that like now the schedule doesn't mean anything. Like you can just
right,
flex it.
right,
It's like if you're like Eagles fans travel really well, right? Like if
yeah.
you're planning to go to a Sunday road trip and gets moved to a Thursday a month ahead of time, I mean that's crazy. Now you got to change your flights, you got to change your hotels.
Now you got to do
You got to take
refundable,
different. You got to take a week off from work to go to a football game.
and you got to get refundable plane ticket instead of non-refundable because you might
Yeah,
have to change the days, and that's another $500. And what if you can't get a hotel room in Dallas on a Wednesday night? And there's a big convention going on. You know, the light bulb makers are having their big annual. You know,
I bet that's an illuminating conference.
yeah. So, yeah, I don't like it. It's, but you know what? Fans are the last people the league cares about.
Well, no, well, they care about the fans watching at home because they'll watch it and they'll get a lot of money.
Yeah, they care about the sponsors. Yeah. Speaking of Thursday night games, so one of my favorite musicians is a guy named Damian Gerardo. I think you're familiar with him, and he never plays Philadelphia. Never. The last time he played Philly was like in 2018, and he's incredible. Great songwriter, Damian Gerardo. Announces a tour. I'm frantically going through the tour dates. Philadelphia, World Cafe Live, Thursday night, September 14th. Eagles, Vikings. So I will not get to see Damien. So
Not great.
yeah, not ideal. And it's, yeah, it's a shame. But anyway, who cares? I do want to mention great job to the Eagles organization for the sixth annual Eagles Autism Challenge. It's a really wonderful event. They raised 6.2 million and counting. It's going to go up because they continue fundraising to the end of May. It's a really nice event. They have bike rides and a walk run around the link. It finishes inside the link where they have a big family festival with players. You can get your picture with players and all kinds of activities for kids. It's Jeff Lurie's brainchild, and he's done a really terrific job putting this together. It's grown every year. They've raised over $20 million in the 6 years. They had over 4,000 people show up, and it was a really rainy, miserable day Saturday. As you alluded to earlier with the wedding, people still showed up, raised a ton of money. AJ Brown is okay apparently, a little scare there, but it's the whole organization really mobilizes for this event. Everybody's involved, and most of the players were there. A ton of coaches were there. Jason Kelsey raised over 100 grand himself, which is pretty wild.
And
It's a great event. And yeah, I recommend it. I've done it a couple times, and it's really fun. It's a fun day, great vibe in the stadium, great atmosphere, and raises a lot of money for a really terrific cause. So, yeah. Did you see the AJ Brown video?
yes, I have. A little scary because at first you watch that video and you think he went down,
Yeah,
but he dropped his phone to get out of the way.
right. Yeah, that's what it looked like at first. I always wondered about that because, I mean, the bike ride goes all over South Philly. I'm not sure I'd ride my bike out there.
Well,
It's,
dangerous. Obviously, it's a great event, but like teams always get on players for like doing stuff in their off seasons.
yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, it's not. They don't. It's as far as I know. There's none of its traffic control. I know the 5K was through the Navy Yard. There's no cars there on a Saturday morning anyway. But the bike rides just. Yeah, I wonder if they might make an adjustment to that. Maybe have the bike ride in the Navy Yard next year.
yeah, or no. Come on, the players just do the 5K.
Yeah, I guess. I think. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I
Keep
mean,
the players off the bikes.
it might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can still be involved, but
Or just have, I don't know if it would be possible to have some of the, just close some roads for an hour around,
that
like,
I don't know. Yeah.
Broad Street run, they close all those roads down in South Philly.
Okay, I'm fine with that
It's just a thought.
because I don't live there, so I don't have to. Yeah, close all the roads. What do I care?
Anything
That's
else?
all I have.
All right.
So the wedding. I didn't want to put this at the top. I officiated the wedding.
Yeah.
It
How
was
about that?
my friend,
Congratulations.
it
Yeah.
was my friend's wedding, and they asked me to do it. It was really fun, and there were a bunch of some pod listeners caught up with me who were like at the wedding, and they just
Really?
yeah, so that was fun. So thanks.
Should
to
line up some
everyone.
more weddings to officiate through the pod.
No, I think I'm going to retire.
Now, it's like, how are you like authorized to officiate a wedding?
So like I thought I would have to do like the like an online thing, but I don't even know what you call that, like an online pastor church of the internet or something, something like
Yeah.
that. But in Pennsylvania, they have Quaker weddings. You know about
Really?
this? Yeah. So
No.
basically, it's like you marry yourself, and basically, so it's like a different form, and you just sign it, and that's your marriage license. It's a different marriage license, like a different form that you hand in. You just need witnesses, so you don't have to have like an ordained minister or ordained person or a special person to do it. It could just be me, and I'm up there, and that's it. It was fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was a Quaker wedding.
Technically.
I was I was at a Quaker wedding. It was in Red Bank, New Jersey, in the middle of the summer, and it was a wonderful experience. But they don't have air conditioning in those Quaker meeting houses, and we were upstairs on a balcony, and it had to be like 105 in there. And Quaker wedding, I don't know about the one you officiated at, but they're not short.
This one was very different. This one was very short.
Okay. Well, what they did, I don't know if they did this at yours, but there's a period where everyone's sitting there and people just randomly stand up and speak about the bride and groom, or about the groom, about the bride's family, whatever. And then they might sit down. It could be another 10 minutes and somebody else will stand up and speak. It's a really cool concept, and it was really moving, but it was also 105 degrees in the balcony. And I think all Quaker weddings should probably be like October through April.
I like that you keep saying, I don't know, did this at your Quaker wedding. It was not a real Quaker wedding. It was just
Quaker in terms of allowing you to officiate it without being a member of like the World Unification Church of
exactly.
Carlton.
Yeah, pretty much.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations anyway. It's a
it was fun.
notable accomplishment, I guess.
It was good. All right, we good here? We need anything else?
No, I think we're probably beyond fine by several minutes.
Yeah, I think the people listening, why don't you guys wrap this thing up here? All right, if you enjoy the Eagle Eye
I'm
podcast,
going to move up 2 spots. Hang on a second.
please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button, subscribe there as well. That's it. For Reuben, I'm Dave. This has been Eagle Eye. We will talk to you soon.